Hey guys, good to start another Sunday's webinar. And it's 8 p.m. here in Denmark. So I know some of you guys are from the States and Canada and other parts, North America and other parts of the world. So for some of you, it's probably morning or somewhere around 12 a.m. It's pretty, but as you see in my background, I'm sitting just, there's a beach right there. No, it's just a picture. It's a pity. It would be great to have a window like that. No. Okay, today we have another very interesting thing we're going to talk about. You probably, many of you received my email. And today I want to talk about what conventional medicine does in order to help people with cancer and what the non-conventional metabolic approaches can do. Hey Ruth, good to see you. And it's for me it's a big issue, because in order to explain people that they can actually take responsibility for their health into their own hands, it takes quite a long time for me, for every single person. Sometimes people are already primed to understand that conventional therapies are not really curing or reversing cancer. They are trying to kill cancer. They're trying to kill the messenger or killing the messenger. So they are open to understand and listen, hear how we can do something alternative. And so my hypothesis is that the conventional medicine is trying to prolong the life expectancy. Now we're talking brain tumors, but it also other types of cancers. But it does it on behalf of the quality of life and your overall possibility to have good health in the rest of your life. Okay? And on the other hand, what the metabolic approaches are doing, it's normalizing the metabolism, our human metabolism as a whole, in order to pull you away from the point of no return as fast as possible. So metabolic approaches don't really care for the concept of life expectancy. We think actually it's a pretty limited concept, because very often, and more often than not, it just helping people to get few years with strongly reduced quality of life. So I'm working with non-pharmacological metabolic approaches. And what I really care for is, I care for reversing the cancer. And how can we reverse the cancer? We cannot really reverse it by killing, because then the secondary cancers very often come. And it happens after 3 years, after 5 years. And we are using the conventional medicine using 3 or 5 years as a benchmark for the quality of care. And basically, the problem is that very often people get secondary cancers after 5 years. And there's studies about that. And so that's why I'm saying basically that extending the life expectancy with 1 or 2 years or 3 years doesn't help. So that's why I really want to show you a picture. Hey, there's greetings from Canada. Great. Hi, Mark and Mary. Look, and I just want to tell you, we have a button here, and it's called Ask a Question. And I can already see that you guys know how it works. And Kathy asked two very good questions. And Marion and Jim asked the good questions, and I'm gonna answer them in the second part of the webinar. But I just want to ask you, please ask questions, because as you may already know, I don't do. Oh, I can see there's a fourth question. That's great. Yeah. Eric, very good. As you already know, I don't do automated webinars. I'm doing only live webinars because I believe in the communication between us. And it has to be like two-side communication, okay? Two-way communication. That's why, guys, please use this possibility to have a real two-way communication. Ask your questions. So push the button here and ask your questions, because then I have a possibility to, hey, from Ontario and England and Iceland. Wow, fantastic. Hey, guys. Hey, Snebjörn. Snow Bear. And Sharek from England, and Sharon from Ontario, and another, and Marky and Mary from Canada. Okay, so please ask questions, and now I'm gonna show a little picture that I made, and this picture. Oh, excuse me, it's not this one. Basically, just a second. Stop sharing, and basically, I can start answering the question from Marion and Jim right now, because they asked, interested in your chart, window of opportunity and point of no return, as I wonder where we actually are. Okay, let's talk about this chart, window of opportunity and the point of no return, and how it relates to the actual situation with Jim and Marion. It's this. Oh man, it's the wrong one again. What's happening? Just a second. Excuse me. Here you go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You see now. Hi, Jacob from Belgium and Karen. All of you guys, you see this picture, right? GBM and PMA. I'm a little bit unsure. Could you please write in the chat if you can see GBM and PMA picture right now? Okay. Yes, perfect. Thank you very much. So, look, why I made this picture. Because basically it shows us a difference when we starting take responsibility for our health back. Hey, Steve. And as you see, the window of opportunity, it's very different from condition to condition. For GBM, it's the first window of opportunity is right after the diagnose. And we have actually here people on this webinar, Jacob and Karen, and they are in this window of opportunity right after, basically very short time after the diagnosis of glioblastoma. And this requires, you see, if you have a diagnosis of glioblastoma and you say no to surgery, radiation, and to chemotherapy requires a very strong psyche. It requires a strong power, inner power, to take responsibility for your health already there. And it's very smart also, because in this situation, you can really start working very, very early, and you can fully remove the risk for complications. And there's a lot of risk of complications from surgery, chemo, and radiation. And when people come there in the window of opportunity, in the first window, as you see there, it takes this possibility for an active reversal effort right away. They have both psychological prerequisites, and consciousness prerequisites almost intact. Okay, there's and they can start working during two or three first weeks. There's a very big chance for they can see improvement in the symptoms. And improvement in the symptoms can be in the symptoms of glioblastoma, like in eyesight, in the aches, in the headaches, in the stability of your gait, and many other different things. Clarity of your thoughts, the way you speak, different placement of tumor in the brain affects different kinds of abilities, and also different symptoms. Okay, so then during the first 3 weeks, what can happen? We can diminish inflammation in such a degree in the brain that the intracranial pressure will go down, and then the symptoms start diminishing. And that's a fantastic thing. Basically, if we, what we're working with breathing, with oxygenation on the cellular level, we're working with nutrition, as many of you know, guys, that are on my course, on our boot camp, intensive boot camp. And that's really great thing, because if you already saw diminishing of some symptoms during the first 3 weeks or a month, it's really great, because then it's just a straight way forward to the remission. There's a lot of ups and downs, and it will always be. But basically what I say is, if you work hard from the start and you are totally 100% complying, you're doing all the trainings, all the exercises just from day one, and you're measuring from the day one everything. You already, after 2-3 weeks, you can start seeing the graphs changing. And I'm going to talk about the graphs a little bit later, what kind of graphs we are using. It will be a very interesting interview with one of my clients that used my protocol several years to reverse his cancer, just a little bit afterwards. So you see, and afterwards, in this window of opportunity, we have we have surgery, chemo, and radiation. If you don't take this window of one, and that's what the majority of people not doing, so they go to surgery, chemo, radiation, very often all three things, and then sometimes two of them, but very often all the three. And then when people start to recover from the surgery and have, they can basically tolerate chemo and radiation, then they can start in the window two. And that's the window of opportunity, which is, we call it post treatment. And it's sometimes it's not just like very straight the barriers, or how do you call it? It's just not like stops like that. It's very often it overlaps. Chemoradiation and post-treatment overlaps. So you still have both physiological, psychological, and consciousness related prerequisites for stop and reverse tumor progression. Okay, and this window can be, I wrote here, it's about 3 months window, but this window can be very often from 3 to 6 months for glioblastoma, but very often about 3 months, 4 months. And why I'm talking about the point of no return, because when we're crossing point of no return, it's very, very hard to have energy. And energy, when I'm not talking about energy surplus, just the energy to do what it have to be done to kickstart the reversal. Because what we are doing, we're not using any medicine, we're not using supplementation. I actually tell people that very often that we need to stop thinking about supplementation, because if we're all the time thinking about new pathways of supplementation and new hopes, we are shifting from the strongest things that can be done. And all the strongest things can be done with lifestyle change and with training. Okay? That's the absolutely strongest things that can be done. Why? Because in this way, we can change the environment in a holistic way with double H. We can change an environment organically. We can help our body to basically come into, start coming closer and closer towards a real natural balance. Okay, so what the medicines do? Well, you know, Keppra is an anti-seizure medicine, makes it impossible for people to take over the responsibility for their health because of the many side effects. And it's a heretical to say this, but it's what it is. We can very, very slowly take people off Keppra by diminishing inflammation, which leads to seizures, diminishing intracranial pressure, but by other means, by halving or making sugar go 2/3 down, by pushing ketones into the brain that have anti-seizure effect, by having a proper oxygenation, by pushing carbon dioxide levels up, by starting not refurbish, we say reuse nitric oxide. All of those things, they act in way as and without side effects. Now, statins, they are now refurbished to stop brain tumor cells from spreading. And in this, they have a very, very little documented effect shown by the scientific studies. But what they also do is disrupting the lipid metabolism for the brain cells, pushing you closer and closer towards a point of no return. And this is disrupting your body, the way your body works, and it's also pushing you towards the point of no return. And what we are doing, we are pulling you away from the point of no return. Natural abilities of the body, and basically helping the body to recover. Okay, so let me let me show you a little bit just before we go to our guest today. You're gonna watch an interview with one of my clients. I want to show you, I want to share the screen and show you. Oh, I just forgot to tell Marion and Jim that Marion and Jim are fighting glioblastoma on our boot camp, just like Jacob and Karen. And Kathy and Sharek is also working with us, and Ruth. There's many people listening right now that are on the boot camp. So this is fantastic. But what I would say, Marion and Jim, you are in the window number 2, and you are working hard. So look, you have very, very good chance and possibility to reverse glioblastoma and normalize diabetes 1 also at the same time. So, and you guys are working every single day, because I know it. I see you every single day on our boot camp, because we are working together every single day, and we are communicating every single day in our closed Facebook group. And there's a lot of yeah, it's very living course we're having together. We learn from each other, we help each other. So let me show you. Yes, just a second, so I'm done answering this question. Let me answer another question for Kathy. Would the CP level be an indicator or of when it would be safe to start weaning off Keppra? If so, what would that CP level be? Look, Kathy, this is a very good question, and absolutely. Look, when your CP level just goes 10 seconds up or 5 seconds up, and you can see a trend, basically, you can start weaning off Keppra. And that's what we are doing, absolutely. Because when the CP goes up, the inflammation goes down. It's always like that. And then you are learning also our anti-seizure exercise, seizure stop exercise. So if something happens, you can stop seizure in 15 seconds. Remember that. We just went through that last week or this week. Remember that. So that's now I'm going to show you a correlation between CP level, between level of ketones in the blood, levels of glucose in the blood, and the measurement of cancer. You see, cancer proliferation can be measured in many different ways for different kinds of cancer. Let me show you. Let me show you. So you see, this shows 202 weeks of work. 202 weeks. It's almost 4 years. Okay? And you see the blue trend line, and that is the most important line because it shows the number of leukocytes goes down. The number of leukocytes, that's what this type of cancer is measured with doubling leukocytes when it's chronic lymphatic leukemia, CLL, leukemia, blood cancer. And in chronic lymphatic leukemia, the leukocyte count doubles every year. And that's a normal thing. Sometimes you can try to well, push it a little bit down, so slow it down a little bit. But that's what a rule of thumb. And as you can see here, we reversed that. And the good news is that this client, you're gonna listen to him in a second. This, my client, Anders Nelson, he reversed it without operation, transplantation, without chemo, and without radiation. Only with my Sakharov protocol, which is a regimen containing different modalities of health normalization, as you may already know. So what you can see here is that glucose levels were very much high in the start. The green line, that's the glucose levels. And during the first 22 weeks, and remember guys, these are weeks. Every single point on these graphs is not just a day, it's a week. It's averages for weeks of treatment. So it's 4 years. So if you can see the glucose went down in 22 weeks, and the ratio between glucose and ketones also went down, as you can see from very much from like 75 down to 1. And then it was fluctuating a little bit because glucose fluctuates, ketone fluctuates. And then you can see leukocytes, that's the blue line. We had measurements of leukocytes levels, and they were also fluctuating. And you see the very interesting thing, you can see that they are fluctuating in waves, in very clear waves. The first wave goes up and then down in week 30. The second waves go up and then down in week 38. There's 12 weeks in between. And then it goes another 12 weeks between week 38 and week about 48, 10 weeks. It also goes up and goes down. And that's how healing goes. I just want to show you guys that have brain cancers, other cancers, that healing always goes up and down. But what we are interested is to endure in our modalities of training and just do it. And there will always be a black and white lines. And then you can see afterwards there's a very, very big rise in leukocytes from week 50 to week 66. That's 16 weeks. And then we go down again, actually, week 17. Then again, a little wave from 70 to 86. And then again, a little waves. But here, very interesting things start to happen. This amplitude is very little, and the wavelength is very long. So something really fantastic happens there. From week 86 to week 142, we basically combat. That's the way of combating the cancer. That's how it works. And then we have another great period from week 142 to now. That's the last measurement. It was for 8 weeks ago. And it showed the lowest results in 3 years, in 2.5 years, the lowest result. And the same thing, the same time you can see the M. That's the control pause. And the control pause went way, the first 50 weeks, the first year, it went totally crazy up to 120. And that's because we've been measuring, not really, I just wanted my client to experience a very high level of control pause that helps his psyche, okay? And the way we've been measuring this control pause, it was not 100% straight, it was a little bit loose, you can say that. And then we made a transition during the other weeks, actually half a year, or where we started measuring very strictly on the first desire to breathe. Because what I basically told him, I really want to be as conservative as possible. I want the cancer to be gone. And the Buteyko method says that cancer cannot exist if you raise your real CP levels up to 60 seconds. And as you see, guys, we reached a very stable 60 seconds around week 100. And from that, the CP level were going a little bit up. Now it's about 65 seconds. Now, this is a very, very strong experience for a person that has cancer to reverse cancer without any kind of conventional treatment, no operation, no surgery, no transplant, stem cell transplant, no chemotherapy, no radiation. But it's also a very big experience for the therapist and for the trainer, as me. And now, fasten your seatbelts. I'm going to present you Anders Nilsson, the guy who made all of this. We made this together, but he was training. You see, I'm not a magician. You have to do the job. I can tell you how, and we can do a job together. And I'm so happy that you guys from our intensive boot camp, you are looking at this, because I also want to inspire you. I try to inspire you every day, but inspiration is a good thing, you see. Let's go.
My name is Anders. I was diagnosed with leukemia about 3 years ago. And when that happened, all my friends, they came to me with all the best intentions, with all sorts of alternative forms of things they thought could help me beat this illness. And I, of course, tried to sift through all these different kinds of things. And a good friend of mine and a colleague who's a friend of Misha suggested this to me, to work with Buteyko breathing and ketogenic nutrition. I'm a family man. I have a wife and 4 children, and I have a job as a musician in an orchestra. So I lead quite a busy life, but I have managed to do quite a lot of good things with musician. Well, when I came to Misha, I just thought, well, he's going to save me. I'm going to be fine. But during the course of time, I realized that this is not. Misha is not doing it for me. I'm doing it myself. He has the sort of the recipe for how to deal with these things. And he's a tremendous what can we call it, a trainer in this on this journey here. Into particular breathing and ketogenic nutrition. Misha sets up schemes and breathing schemes and breathing exercises, ways of measuring blood sugar, and all these things and these things, all these things play together in a sort of melting pot of trying to get these cancer cells to have very difficult life inside me, and I must say it's working. And my cancer cells are diminishing to some extent. I will probably never be cured, but they are keeping me down.
Yeah.
And that's very. In terms of my family life, it's been. Of course, it's difficult in the way that I have to eat funny foods, and I can't eat potatoes and normal bread and a lot of things. But the family is sort of getting used to it, and they eat some of my funny foods as well. And, sure, but what can I say? The most difficult thing is really when you get to the children's birthday parties, and I can't eat the cake and I can't eat the bread, and it gets a little bit funny. But they I cheat a little sometimes when also because I just eating a burger sometimes, and so yeah. But, as long as it doesn't destroy my overall, I can measure all my breathing and my blood. I measure it all the time, and then I sort of can steer towards. My name is Anders.
Oh, just a second.
Destroy my overall. I can measure all my breathing and my blood. I measure it all the time, and then I sort of can steer towards having the right numbers all the time. It's my mother was diagnosed with the same illness as I, and many years ago. And many people think it's inheritable. The science says both, really. They don't agree with themselves. But the fact that I've got it and my mother has it, something tells me that it might be that it's inheritable. But it's also activated by stress coming from the outside, I think, and or the inside your family or whatever. I have a life as a musician. I play the violin on the stage, and it's a very stressful job, of course. And all these things are maybe a stress factor is activating or activating different kinds of illnesses. But the fact that the way I'm working with it now together with Misha is that I feel that I'm taking responsibility for my own life and for getting it back again on the right track. The cancer cells are their main food, if you can say that, is the sugar. And if you prevent if you don't eat any sugar or carbohydrate, then the cancer cells have a very difficult life inside me, and that is it just about sums up all the. It's of course it's you change your whole way of breathing, and you are training yourself not to only to breathe through your nose, and and a lot of other things, a lot of breathing exercises and training. It's yeah, I use it when I walk in the forest or on the way to the train or whatever. I use my breathing techniques all the time, also when I'm playing the violin. I breathe only through the nose by people all the time. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, I just want to have some comments on this. So he says that who saves me, Misha or myself? And this is the most crucial question, basically, to ask and to answer. Because I cannot save anybody. I can only help people to understand what is happening in their body and to understand the prerequisites of natural healing. And then we can work with physiology, understanding physiology. We work with very concrete exercises and lifestyle change patterns, sleep hacking, different kind of things. So you see, he mentioned schemes, measurements, and that's what basically helps people to stay in the process and not fall off the wagon, because they have schemes to write the measurements in every day. And in order to have good measurements, you have to exercise. And that's what we are helping each other in this very intensive course of our boot camp. And you see, also family life, it's perfectly doable, because as he also mentioned, these is not just good for the person, it's also good for the family. Because what we are doing, we are, when you're trying to come back to the roots of a human genome, you cannot do otherwise than get better health. And that's basically the whole idea with what we are doing, coming back to the roots. And at the same time, you see the cheating. The cheating. But you see, this interview was made 3 years after we started. Right now it's almost a year ago. He was also the latest chart I showed you. That's the chart where the leukemia really came back, or came down very much, leukocytes. So the cheating is possible only in the maintenance period, and that's what we are talking. The first period, the first year, was very, very active. It was a lot of work, and it was very, very intensive work. And after 1 year, the work is the same, but just less intensive. We do the same things, but the intensity is a little bit down. We call it maintenance. And after 4 years, well, it's one of my oldest clients with cancer. So he comes to me every 1.5 months. It was once a month for an hour, and then 1.5 months. So I don't take one-to-one clients anymore so much, because we have so much work on the boot camp. I use all of my time to support you guys on the boot camp, to make new material together with Karsten, and to film everything anew. But you see, when you have a measurement tables, when the measurements are good, but CP is higher and higher, actually, 65, and his maximum pose is over 100, always, then it's so stable that it's not a problem. What you acquire metabolic flexibility, and that's what it is about. When you acquire metabolic flexibility, when you stop leaky gut, then you're home free, and you can get some freedom. Okay, you can call it cheating. Still, he calls it still cheating after 3 years. But well, and his mother had leukemia. It was also activated by stress. But basically, what it is about, he really wanted to do it in a different way than his mother. So he took responsibility for his life back. Yeah. Breathing techniques all the time, lots of exercises. So another part, let's see, let's watch the rest of the interview, and then I will comment again.
I don't think I'll ever stop, actually, because have during the last 3 years, I've got so much energy out of this. My energy levels have gone up by 50% or something. I really, I have much more energy, and I have also experienced a much more sort of, calmness in my life, more centered. And, it means a lot also in my professional life as a concept violinist, and I feel that it's also a lot about stress management. My wife is always saying that I have much more energy now than I had 3 years ago. So it's all positive. Really. I get up quite early in the morning, and then I start doing my breathing exercises and do all my measurements, and it's no. Yeah, of course, in the beginning, it was a whole new way of life, and you really had to invest a lot of time in it. But now that I listen, I've sort of learned it all. I feel it's just become a part of my day. I just do it right. I make a cup of coffee or whatever. You just do that. Then you do your breathing exercise for 15 minutes, and then you have a shower, and then you whatever. It just becomes a daily routine, and I do my exercise when I'm cycling or when I sit in the car. So you can do a lot of things all the time. As long as you have to. It just has to become a normal part of your life, and not something funny you're doing. It's just no. But it takes a while to get there. We started with a period of about a year where I worked really hard. So I'm trying to. Well, I wanted to save my life, so I really went into this and in a big way, and it's paying off because I feel after a while we decided we could go sort of a little easier, and so now I'm in a sort of maintenance period where I just I do everything but on a little lower scale than to start with. In the beginning, it's a big thing to. You really have to turn your body around. It's like getting a car to go on diesel instead of petrol or whatever. It's your whole body has to do a huge U-turn in order to not have sugar as your main benzene, or what you call it. So
Main energy source.
Energy source, yes.
And the same thing with breathing too, maybe.
Breathing is also. There was lots of exercise in the beginning, and a lot of things I did, which I am a little easier with now. But I do this follow breathing, where I breathe through a bottle in water. It's very complicated, but really it's quite simple actually. But it's quite hard. You get really sweaty when you do it, and but it's very effective.
He says, "I don't think I'll ever stop." And you see, this is nails it, because why he will never stop? Well, because he has energy levels that went so much up. He never had it in his life before. Sleep less. There's more calmness, more centered. Also professionally as a concert violinist, and his wife says that he has more energy than 3 years ago when he started. So this is a fantastic thing. He gets early in the morning, do the exercises, do the measurement. And then, as for all of you guys, in the beginning, it was hard. And then you make it a part of your, of your routine. It's same as drinking coffee in the morning, normal part of your life. So, as also he mentioned that we started a very strong work period of a year because he wanted to save his life. And then the maintenance period slowly he went working a little lower scale in a way. Yeah, and he experienced that the body makes a major U-turn. Well, that's what we really want to experience, all of us, on our boot camp. And we're going to do this, guys. And also for all of breathing device, we are basically starting next week. Really also use the first time we're using the device. Before we've been using with breathing techniques with breathing normalization, Buteyko technique, Buteyko method, and it's always we start working with devices afterwards because I really want you to understand what normal breathing patterns are. So let's watch the last part, and the last part is here. Just a second.
As I can, when I started out, I could, we have this, we call it control pause, where you hold your breath for, yeah, well, when I started out, I could hold it for about 8 or 10 seconds or something. Now I have an average of about 60 seconds where I hold my breath. And that's without being totally afterwards. You're sort of quite normal afterwards. So that's one way of measuring, and then you measure your blood, of course, just like people who have what you call diabetes. Yeah, then you just measure your blood and my glucose went drastically down, and my aim is to be at about 4.5. It's not always there I am, but about just not the time. So I started out with my control pause being about 8 seconds or something, but I don't know. Maybe that was because I didn't quite understand what it was all about. But then over a long time, it took me to get up to about 60 or more than 60, and then you have something called the maximum pause, which is about double that. So you end up on 120 or something like that in 2 minutes. But that's really hard. That's where you really almost explode. But it's all part of the thing. And but now I would say these things come quite easy to me now, and because I've sort of well, I don't know. I mean, it's I suppose it's a bit like sports. You learn to do something, and then you just master it, and then you can keep on doing it by having, not by doing too much about it. So my control pause is about 60 now in average, and my maximum is it's not quite as high as it used to be. It's about 90 or something. I have never had any problems with it, really. I've always chose to be quite open about what I'm doing, and then all my friends and colleagues, and they know that I'm kind of they know that I eat funny things, but they also they're quite curious about it and ask about it, and they're very sort of I think it's quite cool that I'm doing this because I'm actually keeping my cancer sort of at a distance. I hope. So no, I don't think people are. I mean, of course, people I don't know. They ask why I don't eat potatoes, and I guess either I go into it or I just say, well, I don't. You know, you just. So yeah, it's no problem. About a year ago, before I was all funny. my clinic does. I have so much more energy, and I also think the immunity is much better. I think fat burning is a much stronger energy source than sugar. So and the breathing, and which is yeah, it's makes you. I haven't been much ill the last few years. Well, it's given me a sort of perspective of a long life still to be lived here. When I got this diagnosed with leukemia, I just thought, no, well, I'm going to die now. This is it. I got really scared, and also because I'm not that old, and I feel I should have a long life still with my kids and all that. So, but anyway, I after 3 years with Misha, I have a sort of feeling that this is no problem. I have long to go still, and I'm not ill, and the hospital are sort of they don't really understand why it doesn't develop more quickly. It doesn't really develop. The opposite, actually. The cassette counts are actually falling a little bit, and so yeah, I'll be here in 20 years, still, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's so how do you know that it works? That's a question. You see, how do you know that it works? Well, we are measuring everything, and starting with 8 seconds for a control pause, we went up to 60, and actually he went he had maximum pauses at almost at as high as 180 seconds. He was working a lot. And then his blood measurements, he wanted to stay at 4.5 in the blood, and it's a millimole per liter. In American measurements, it's about 82 milligram per deciliter, which is a very good level, especially for maintenance period. In the start, it was 75. It was 3.5, 70. Okay, very often. But now for the maintenance period is just perfect. Yeah, he mentioned social acceptance is not a problem, because when people, and it also depends what kind of people you are, you have around you. It's also a very crucial thing to surround yourself with the people that really care about you very deeply, so that help you all the time. And if you don't have those people around you, and you have only your beloved ones, your partner that helps you, please try to diminish the impact. Try to diminish the impact from the parts of the family and the parts of your maybe friends that are not positive. It's not good. It could kill you, basically. So please be very, very much aware about it. So you see, he used to have cold and flus, and he was always ill. Now the immunity is working, and he said the fat burning is much stronger energy source than glucose-based glycolysis, and then breathing, optimized breathing together. All of those things creates a very strong synergetic effect. And you see another thing, the vision of future from the situation where he thought that he's gonna die now. He was scared, with a lot of steering or controlled by fear. And after these 3 years of work, with me now it's almost 4 years of work. You saw the measurements. There's almost, well, at least 9 months between the interview and now. So he feels that he has long to go still, and he's not ill. And the hospital don't really understand what is happening, why leukocyte count is falling. And that's the common situation also in glioblastoma reversal that I experienced. The doctors don't really understand what's happening, and they really don't have time to ask. And that's a very, well, it's a problem, but I now understand that it's my role to be well, a remission consultant. And sometimes it's cannot be really well, the remissions in the eyes of the doctor, it comes from nowhere, because they don't know how hard we are training. Okay, so this is just something that happened, and they really don't know how to ask. Maybe, I don't know. So, and he'll be here, as he says, for in 20 years and in 30 years. He's a young guy. And so you have to also understand, as you saw my interview with my another client, Gert Inge, and his wife also with glioblastoma, the two last sessions, webinar sessions. And their remission was very, well, it was pretty fast. It was took half a year of glioblastoma. And that's because I'm more knowledgeable now the last 4 years, 5 years of work. I understand that ketogenic, it's not enough. We need to do essential ketogenic. It's a very big part of it to stop inflammation. It's a very strong regimen. Then some few things also with breathing and in connection with movement. I learned during the last several years. So now when we're working together on the boot camp, I hope and I know that it's possible for us to make very strong results during half a year. And if you guys want to stay with me for more than that, it will not be a problem. Okay? Okay, guys. So it's picking up a lot of background noise. Okay. Is it right now, or was it in the video? Okay. I'm doing my best here, and maybe I have to have only in the video. Okay. Maybe I have to have a little faster computer. Okay, the questions. If there is anybody, it's from Kathy. If there's anybody, anybody's body chemistry that would be, let me start answering. If there's anybody's body chemistry that would not be conducive to a carnivorous diet, well, there are, you see, the biggest problem that people are falling off, it's that they are not able to maintain the diet on the long term due to psychological reasons, due to pressure from the family, and due to pressure to other physicians, or to physicians. I'm not a physician, I'm a integrative health engineer. And who am I? Well, okay. And if you not adhere to the diet, or in an insufficient degree, it's not enough to reverse cancer. And it's not also not to reverse autoimmune disease, which is what essential ketogenic is about. It's about stopping autoimmunity, which is very often, many situations, if not in all situations, is connected with cancer. Well, medication, we know that medication, we are not on medication very much. We are lowering medication during the course of the first month, very much. When we start measuring the CPs goes up, we start wean off. But a real contraindication, it's enzyme deficiencies, basically. Enzyme deficiencies that are, that's enzymes that are connected with the metabolism of protein and metabolism of lipids, of fats. And they can be congenital. And this is of physical abnormalities or present from the birth. Enzyme deficiencies. We call it lipase deficiency, and we also have amino acid deficiency. Well, that's a breakdown of proteins. What else? Well, inherited conditions mostly. It's an interesting fact here. Actually, I have. It's something called hepatic lipase deficiency, and it means that's the familial lipoprotein deficiency, lipase deficiency. It's an inherited condition that disrupts the normal breakdown of fats in the body. It was the first gene therapy, basically, to receive marketing authorization in Europe. It was priced at about 1 million per treatment, and as of for 2 years ago, only 1 person has been treated with it. And this disorder affects about 1 out of 1 million people. So this is inborn errors of metabolism. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I think about body chemistry. Basically, the biggest problem is the problem of adhering fully to this and not falling off. Okay. Good. Next one. When cancer is mentioned, it usually refers to tumors that are visible and measurable. What about blood cancers like CLL? Well, that's what we just talked about. I'm sorry, I didn't see this question. So blood cancers, you see, Eric, you just saw, you just saw that it was perfectly measurable. And we had a perfect correlation between blood measurements, between measurements of oxygenation. Basically, it's a measurement of mitochondrial respiration. And I know I take some big words in my mouth, but I talked about that with Professor Seifert for him 1 month ago in our conference in London about childhood cancers. And there's a very big rise in childhood leukemias. And we talked about that. I told him about this case. So maybe we're going to write an article together, a case about exactly this case. And it's perfectly measurable. And then you see the blue trend of the blue line where basically the number of leukocytes, it goes like that and it goes down. And then we have a very, very nice trend. Next one. From Snebjörn, Snow Bear from Iceland. Do I have to be on keto for the rest of my life if I stay low in carbs? Well, it's a very good question. But as you hear Anas answer this question, he will definitely be on this for the rest of his life. Okay? So this is the thing. And it's basically, I say, well, it depends of what your problem is and how much do you want to prevent well, prevent the diseases to come back if you had disease, or how much you want to invest in your post-reproductive life or in your longevity, and what are your ideas about the levels of how much do you want to use your body when you're in the, I mean, you are aging, okay, when you're 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Okay. So that was, and then we have Leah from Eric. Mastocytosis, where too many mast cells are present and make the body very reactive. What do you know? How do we treat it? About mastocytosis, where too many mast cells are present and make the body very reactive. What do you know, and how can we treat it? I don't know exactly so much about mastocytosis, but what I know is that, you see, there are so many processes in the body that we don't even know about. And some scientists say maybe we know about 3 or 5% how the body works. And the rest we are guessing. And how medicine works right now, it looks like they are guessing very much. And it's a pity. And you see, we are trying to treat the diseases of lifestyle, treating them as genetic diseases. And the people on the Cancer Genome Project, already for 1 year ago, they just stopped, many of them, they stopped and say that, you know, this is this is a blind path to go, because we can see that those diseases are not genetic. There are so many different genes that are interconnected and interdependent. Yes, we can map some of them, but we don't know what kind of pathways they connect with each other with. And there are so many of those pathways, and there are so many interconnected and interdependent and interrelated that it's impossible to just map all of those connections. We need to believe in our body's ability to reverse the disease and to come farther away from the point of no return, on our body's ability to know better, basically. And that's what I am trying to, well, this is the button that I'm trying to push together with my clients, help them to push this button, to help the body to restore itself, to stop normal cells being cancerous by normalizing the environment, and then also changing the environment in a way that it's uninhabitable for cancer cells. And that's what we are doing, basically, by shifting into ketosis. That's another thing, which is one of the normal sources for the cells to live and to have a normal functionality. Okay, so I think about mastocytosis. There are so many rare diseases that I think will be able to reverse if we had a plan and if we could stick to the plan 100%. And that's what we are doing on a boot camp. And that's, I'm using all the tricks to make people stick to the program, to inspire people every day, to make mental training every single day. The first 50 days, we are in a very strong mental training program, also besides all of the other things. And you guys know, you receive my mental training every single morning. Different things, all of that together. And it's going to work. It's going to work for all of you. Okay, what do you suggest? That's from Sharon. What do you suggest for a healthy person? I am 56 and I had high cholesterol, but brought my numbers right down by healthy living. So wondering if you would suggest I keep doing what I'm doing, or what would you say? Well, the healthy person that is healthy living, well, nothing can be better than that, Sharon. This is fantastic. So you just have to understand that cholesterol, there's nothing called bad cholesterol. Actually, after 50, after 45, especially women need to have a high cholesterol, both HDL and LDL. LDL is very crucial to have high. So what we have to understand that what this about bad cholesterol, bad LDL. LDL is not a bad cholesterol. It has a very crucial part for our body. So we need both, and what we need to bring back, it's triglycerides, because triglycerides basically show what state of metabolism you are in. And if you are optimized to break down fat and bring down inflammation, your triglycerides would go down. And the ratio between triglycerides and HDL will be very, very low, meaning that triglycerides go down and HDL go up. And then the ratio between low triglycerides and high HDL will be very, very low. People, after being half a year on working with me, they always get the ratio between triglycerides and LDL cholesterol down to 0.3, 0.4, sometimes 0.2, which is fantastic. And well, it's and another cholesterol you have to remember, which is, I have to start answering this. So you have to remember another cholesterol, which is very crucial, we have to remember about. That's what we call the remnant cholesterol. And that is really atherogenic. Atherogenic meaning that it has a real correlation with the degree of inflammation and the degree of how fast do we age. That's what atherogeneity is about. And that's the remnant cholesterol. That's the difference between the total cholesterol and the sum of LDL and HDL. And there's remnant cholesterol. There's two kinds of cholesterol: very low density lipoprotein, VLDL, and something called IDL, intermediate density lipoprotein. They have to be very, very low. So if you take your total cholesterol and then detract the sum of HDL and LDL, it has to be as little as possible. Much, much, much lower than 1, at least. Okay. So that's a little bit about cholesterol, but basically we need to healthy living for many people. Well, it means different things. And what I see is some people with cancer is coming to me, or with diabetes, and say, I've been living healthy. And then I found out they've been vegans or vegetarians for many years of their life, sometimes for 20 years or 15 or 10 years in their life. And they mean it was healthy living, while in the same moment they were killing themselves. So healthy living is good, but it could be understood very, very differently. But if you have a good life, you have no inflammation, this is fantastic. That's healthy living. Healthy living is basically full functionality, no inflammation, clear mind, no symptoms whatsoever. With your heart, you can move graciously. You can enjoy life, and you are not depressive, which is also very, very crucial. So yes, healthy living is great. Yes, I understand now. The picture was, yeah. Okay, what kind of, so we're from AG. What kind of physical exercise would you recommend that does not put load on the knees, legs? I have knee arthritis and swelling. Swimming is not an option in my area. Yeah, okay, you see, it's very crucial, good question, it's very crucial that you don't put load on the knees, legs. I would say you have to learn for food. But it depends of how much weight you have. You see, if you have questions, guys, you can always also have book a little 15 minutes session with me if you need me. So just write to me, and we can get a 50 minutes session, a free chat. And this is this one, and this is for people, yeah, and I do it freely. And if you guys think that you want to you have any questions about our brain tumor bootcamp, please don't hesitate to take a 30 minutes conference call. Okay, I would like to help everybody, but my problem is that the day only have 24 hours. It's a very big problem right now because I use all my time to help the people on our bootcamp, but I still give free calls. So AG, please take a 50 minutes chat with me. Find a time that is fits your schedule, and I can help you with some ideas. But basically, I need to know what is your weight, because if you have a big weight, then there's some other things. But basically, the first thing would be to reduce weight. And to reduce weight, you need to go into, if you have arthritis, it's autoimmune disorder and swelling. It's autoimmune disorder. And ketogenic is not enough to stop autoimmune disorders, autoimmunity. So you need to have essential ketogenic. And essential ketogenic is basically removing all sources of carbohydrate, plant sources in your diet. And that's what we are doing with in our bootcamp. That's how you can stop arthritis, stop inflammation, and also diminish your weight. And only then you can do physical exercise. Basically, physical exercise is not a good idea when you have a very low CPs. I want you guys to start doing real physical exercise when you reach CPs between 20 and 25 seconds. A real CP. Then physical exercise will be good for you. Controversial? Yes. Okay. Mark Shubali. Does the keto diet you speak of require using strictly organic foods? Also, what is a breathing device? And what is a breathing device? Well, the breathing device is, we use several devices. We use Frolov device, which is, well, it's the device that works, have different pathways. We both train breathing muscles. We also train permeability, membrane permeability in the alveoli. We also extend what we call dead space, where we rebreathe carbon dioxide. That's what devices do, basically. We're also doing a mask. And if you saw my webinar, my other webinars, you saw also my last client that we reversed glioblastoma with. He was using breathing, another breathing device. We call it elevation training mask, Mark 3, the new type for cycling, but only when you reach higher CPs. We're using only devices after some weeks, after some results, after normalizing, after learning the normal breathing patterns and changing some automatic breathing patterns. What does the keto diet? Okay, about the keto diet. require using strictly organic foods? No, it doesn't require using strictly organic foods, but it's a very good idea. And I always say that the most important thing is to use free roaming animals. Grass-fed and free roaming animals is more important than organic, I think, because of energy content in the protein, in the meat. Organic, but organic is really, really good too. And when you see, the more we heal ourselves, the more difference between organic and non-organic becomes smaller and smaller, because our ability to detox on basically on a cellular level getting better and better. And that's what you see by inflammation, because what we are doing, we're changing the lipid content in the cellular membranes, also mitochondrial membranes, and that's what stops inflammation. And when you stop inflammation, the detoxification, the permeability of the membrane gets better, okay? But only for the small molecules that are normal. The gut permeability normalizes by stopping the bigger molecules from leaking back into the extracellular fluid. That's how we also stop inflammation. So, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say. Next one, is long-time fasting part of your protocol for regenerating immune system? From Snebia. It depends what you mean by long-time fasting. Extended fasting, yes, but we start just from the day one. We start from intermittent fasting, and we start diminishing our nutritional window from these normal, 12 hours, where people start eating at 8, and then they eat last time at 8 o'clock in the evening. Okay, and there's this 12 hours, and this is very bad for immunity, because we cannot really trigger normal detox on the cellular level, normal autophagy, different kinds of autophagy, CMA, macroautophagy, microautophagy. All of them, they depend very much on our nutritional window, and when we stop eating, and how we drink, and many other things. So, but having said that, after we diminish the fasting window, or nutritional window, down to 4 hours maybe, or to 6 hours, 4 hours, or some people are willing to eat only once a day, then we can, in a month or two, we can take an extended fast. An extended fast is 1 day, and then 3 days, and then another time we make 5 days. 5 days is fantastic, is perfect. Some people can do 7 days too, but what I'm doing with my clients, and I'm going through intermittent to 1, then to 3, and then to 5 days. And then, yeah, I think it's enough. Enough is enough. Okay. So from AG, what do you think about long-term fasts? I'm talking about 20, 30 days water fasts. According to Seifert, you could reverse most tumors by doing that. Would breathing retraining still be required if you fast? I heard breathing automatically improves once you stop eating. AG, very good question. Thank you for this. You see, yes, I believe in that, but I also believe in that we need to refeed ourselves before that. So what I really believe that 20, 30 days water fasts are only possible when we have taken the small fasts first. I also believe in dry fasts, but dry fasts can kill you if you, or not can kill you, will kill you if you take a dry fast without water. But I know people in Russia, practitioners, that can take 30 days dry fast. I would never say that you should do this, because you will certainly kill yourself if you do this. because your level of detoxification will be so big that you will die very, very fast. Okay, a 20-30 water fast. Well, it's absolutely possible, But I would say that if you want to do this only after doing diminishing the nutritional window, replenishing, changing the preferred fuel source from glucose to fats. Okay, normalize your leptin tolerance, your ghrelin tolerance, normalize insulin sensitivity. Then take 1 day water fast, wait a couple of weeks, take 3 days water fast, wait a couple of weeks, take 5 days fast, couple of times. Well, in month, 5 days, and then take a month normal feeding, and take 5 days again, and then you can try to extend it up to 20 days. I don't think it's a problem, but I really want people to detox a lot and normalize their endocrine balance, the hormonal balance first, refeed the cells, replenish them with all the readily bioavailable vitamins, minerals, and then take the water fast. Well, a long water fast. Yes. And the breathing will improve once you stop eating. That's right. Also, the control pulse goes up. Absolutely right. Mark, another. Does a lymphatic massage drainage work with your protocol? Absolutely. Basically, it's a very good idea. But what we work a lot with lymphatic massage, but in movement. Basically, what is happening is that when we are starting working with enabling abdominal muscles, relaxing abdominal muscles, enabling the diaphragm working, that's the major lymphatic pump. If you don't enable this pump, all the lymphatic massage will be just manual therapy without reversing anything. Maybe stopping inflammation, some degree of inflammation, but not really. You have to enable your pulmonary pump in order to drain lymph upwards from the level of your belly and upwards. If you don't have diaphragmatic breathing, it won't help. Okay, that's the thing. And then the other thing, in order to have a very good lymphatic drain, you need to enable the valves on your feet. Okay, and that's what we are doing by making exercises. We call it fox walking or forefoot walking. It's called plantar lymph pump, which is also connected with the valves in your heart. It's very interesting work, and it drains. It helps body drain very much. Another thing that is very crucial for lymphatic drainage to work, that you are not clogged in the middle. And there's something called cisterna chyli in the middle of your body, in the level of a second or third vertebrae, which is very often clogged. If you have very high triglycerides, if you have inflammation in your body, very often people get backflow to the internal organs, because cisterna chyli, which is a major part of lymph system, is clogged. So manual lymphatic massage is a good thing, but you need to work in movement with your lymph in movement. That's why in my protocol I have immunity. And you see, we have this. If you read about Sakharov protocol, so you know that we have energy acquisition. It's like Vitruvian Man. Remember This plane is breathing and nutrition, energy acquisition, and then we have a triangle of what we call allostatic resilience triangle. Allostatic resilience means homeostasis in the light of the environment. It's called allostasis. Then we have mental resilience, physical resilience, one leg and then another leg. It's immune resilience. And immune resilience, as a part of the immune resilience, basically, well, a part of it, it's the immunity shifts from parasympathetic to sympathetic. Actually, immunity, our, how do we look at the environment? It shifts from sympathetic to parasympathetic, where parasympathetic is immunity and sympathetic is fight and flight and physical work. Another part of immunity is that by physical movement, by a right physical movement and breathing and nutrition, diminishing viscosity in the blood, it kickstarts the immunity by clearing the ducts, by clearing the cisterniculae and normalizing the lymph movement. There's a lot of different aspects in this. Wow, many good questions. Man, this is fantastic. Do you feel, that's from Valerie Broski, do you feel your protocol will apply to other cancers as well as DIPG and glioblastoma? Also, I've seen healing with both a plant-based diet as well as keto. Do you have any thoughts on this? Yes, my protocol will apply to other cancers as well. Absolutely. Because cancers is a metabolic disease. It's a disease of metabolism. I just, after having experienced death of a very, very young girl that I was unable to help because they came too late to me, I decided to work with DIPG. And then we had good results with glioblastoma. Then DIPG and glioblastoma, that was my choice. I really want people to get, not just survive, but to get in super health. But we have also a woman with the breast cancer, with metastatic breast cancer on our course. Yes, I've seen healing, all other cancers, yes, basically. I don't know about all other cancers, but the majority of cancers, yes, because cancer is a metabolic disease. If we understand the cancer is a messenger, don't kill the messenger, okay? Don't kill the messenger. Try to understand the message. If you start killing the messengers, then the secondary cancers will come. And very often when we see healing with with a plant-based diet, I really believe that plant-based diet is very good at detoxing a body. That's kind of a first stage of detoxification. It's very good with plant-based diet. But plant-based diet is like a being on a lifetime fasting. It does not replenish your body, especially in your post-reproductive age. I know people survive and thrive, fruitarians, some of them in the very early age, but I also see people 25 years old, fruitarians, that are degenerated, that have degenerative conditions very much. Some people can tolerate it until they become 30, 35 or 40, then they can heal with a plant-based diet, yes, but I never seen a person, myself, healing with plant-based diet in a post-reproductive age. Really, it yet to be seen. And that's a problem. People don't understand the difference between reproductive age and post-reproductive age. There's nothing called natural health in post-reproductive age. Nothing. There's also natural health in the reproductive age. And I wrote several articles about that. So we're also talking about that. We are implementing basically all of those things in our boot camp. Thank you, Valerie, for a good question. And then we have from AG again. I saw that your client that got 120 seconds CP was eating spinach and macadamia nut almost daily. You said before that keto itself is not enough, but it must be carnivore. Can you clarify this? Thanks. Well, you see, I also saw my client has spinach, eating spinach and macadamia nuts. That's right. But you see, this is mostly in the, exactly. Well, that's right. In the start, that was for 4 years ago. Exactly. And, but you see, after that, I saw another leukemia client that we also reversed leukemia. That, for example, spinach and macadamia nuts were both having so much reaction on this person that was vegan a long time. So only after, basically, it's interesting that you're saying macadamia nuts, because basically macadamia nuts was the last thing she had from the vegetarian world. She was eating animal fats and also animal protein for the first time in many, many years. And that's what gave her energy back and started reversing leukemia and another leukemia. Yeah. And basically the last thing for her was not spinach, but zucchini. And zucchini and macadamia nuts were giving so much inflammation, autoimmune reactions, that only after that she started a healing. That's why I'm saying the keto itself is not enough. It must be carnivore, because when we are, you see, there's a difference between what kind of keto, why do you using keto? If you are healthy and you're using keto, sure, spinach and macadamia nuts are great, taste great, and I love it myself. I have no problems with plant foods. I never had. But I'm carnivore in order to see how I react, how my body reacts, and in order to know how my clients feel. Okay, so I'm eating carnivore because I really believe it's good for your health in the post-reproductive age. If you want to improve your health, and if you want to maintain your health, and if that's what I really think. Well, again, especially for people that are healthy, it's not a problem. But for people that have autoimmune problems, I say that keto itself is not enough. And I will say it again. We're using essential ketogenic, which is very much inspired by paleomedicina in Hungary, by doctors Shabatot and Sophia Clemens, which are fantastic, very inspiring people. And they made several cases where they worked with like 3,000 clients with this, and first with ketogenic and paleo, and then understanding that it's not enough. Yes, paleomedicina is very fascinating stuff, and I was very inspired by them. And then I started using this during the last year, the last 12 months. All of my clients that I have a reversal of cancer of, and that's the both glioblastoma and leukemia and ovarian cancer. It's the essential ketogenic. Essential ketogenic means that ketosis is very crucial, and essential, it means only essential micronutrients. We are removing all the potential sources of autoimmune reactions and inflammations, because inflammation and cancer and autoimmune reactions, that's the same, basically, that's the same things. Well, next, yeah. Yes, and AG is also asking, do food reactions from vegetables stop CP growth, or what is negative rate? Well, absolutely, absolutely. Basically, you see, we have so many what we call anti-nutrients, okay, from starting with lectins, which is very, very normal anti-nutrient that is present both in nuts and in all vegetables, also in green vegetables like broccoli and many other other anti-nutrients, basically. So this is a nature protections from the seeds and the embryos of the babies. So salicylates, oxalates, also that's these very much, and FODMAPs also. Well, there's a lot of different food reactions from vegetables, and all of them, they promote autoimmune reactions and inflammation. When you have inflammation, your CP goes down. And AG questions very much. I really, you see, guys, that's what I really like. That's the real communication. I'm trying to inspire you with some of my thoughts. I'm trying to give you some examples from my clients, and then you come with great questions. Look, those questions are just really, really good because, you know, guys, you know what you're talking about. And thank you for taking time with me here. It's almost 2 hours now. So, guys, I'm saying thank you very much. And if you want to look, at our boot camp, I will now give you a couple of links. And again, if you have any questions, please ask me. This is the, just a second, let me see. You remember to, if you really need an interview, take the 30-minute interview with me, or if you want to talk about cancer, or you're thinking about the program, and this is our link to our 6 months. And then we have here a call to action button, enroll to our Beat the IPG starting tomorrow, starting every Monday, basically. So if you guys, you know, people with brain tumors that want to take responsibility for their health in their own hands, here's the place. Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. It was really great to have you guys. And look, remember, all of the replays are available. Basically, you see this URL you used today, it ends with 3. And if you take 1 instead of 3, you will see a replay of the first webinar where I'm interviewing my client with glioblastoma. If you take 2, you will see a replay of a webinar where I'm also interviewing him and his wife about the role of the family. And this webinar will be webinar number 3. And next webinar will be, guess what? Number 4. So, guys, thank you very much. Spread the knowledge. And thank you, Sharek. And we are working our asses off. Karsten, my partner, and me every day, filming and making you. And now we're making available for everybody on our bootcamp a totally new way of sharing information, knowledge sharing. All the latest videos from our Q&As, you see, we have 2 lines on a bootcamp. We have 1 line with 1 hour every day for the adults with brain cancers, and then we have 1 line also every day, 1 hour for children, families. So all of those videos, 1 hour videos, they are recorded every single day. And I'm also answering many questions there. Everything will be time tagged. And basically, we will have a searchable database from the next week where people will have like 300-400 questions already with all of my video answers on. And every week, we will have, at least 200 new questions in the database. It will be a totally new way. It will be a game changer. So we will have a database with many thousand questions with video answers on everything for all the people on our bootcamp, about breathing, about implementing all our protocols, all our modalities, both eating modalities, lifestyle change modalities, breathing modalities, moderate movement modalities, how we're working with lymphatic drainage, how we're working with mental training, how we're working building up a process. Everything will be answerable, tagged into different categories, and also totally searchable. Love you guys. Thank you for joining us. And I look forward to talk about very interesting things next week. Love you.